Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Year in Review
2018.
I am your King of Extreme, the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, Phil KOE, joined by my indomitable broadcast partner,
Two-time
champion,
Tony G. Welcome to what is sure to be the most informative year in review that you can find on YouTube.
Anywhere on the internet, really.
Pretty much.
You don't need to forget any of it. This is where you need for your complete, comprehensive years in
Stop
review.
click surfing. Park yourself where you're at. Here it is. This is all you need to know. If you haven't watched any of our videos up until this point, you're missing out. Go back, watch them all in depth.
Hit pause. Go back.
Yeah.
All right. Now that you're back, now that you've enjoyed that library of brilliance,
you've gone on a journey with us.
Yes.
The journey has had many, many molehills conquered by this man, and many, many mountains ascended by yours truly, retaining, dropping a
one-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion.
Dropping one sad little win for a couple of weeks from a glorified house show in the desert, right back to where it belongs, thus the two-time. But here we are. It's been quite the ride. This is our inaugural year. We started with the Royal Rumble. We just finished TLC here a couple of weeks ago.
One full year of Revolutionary Wrestling podcasting.
We've evolved. We've gone on a journey together.
I know, it's been emotional for me. I'm sure it's been emotional for you. I know, it's been a ride, folks. So, it's time to give our awards. Tony G's awards, and also the KOE Nation Awards, a very prestigious award. I'm sure everybody in the entire wrestling industry, they're just on bated breath. Am I going to get my KOE Nation Award?
Well, first and foremost, on the year, it should be noted that our point totals, now granted, this isn't record straight up because we did have a couple of tiebreaker points here and there, but on the year, I was so close to breaking the Century Club, but 98 points for myself.
76, but remember, KOE Nation, just like the Revolution of 1776, the KOE Nation's revolution of 76 points begins in 2019, and we will march forward and take the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Championship. So, fear not.
Fair enough. Should we start from 5 and work our way to 1 as we go down the...
I think we start with men's and women's of the year. So who are your picks for the men and women performers of the year? Let's start with the men, and let's get into our nominees.
Okay.
The nominees for our men's performer of the year are the phenomenal AJ Styles, Seth Kingslayer Rollins.
That may have screwed his chances up immediately.
Oh, yeah. The man who came to play The Miz, Braun!
And the new Daniel Bryan.
And also, let's not forget, Brock Lesnar!
Because, yeah.
I mean, you can't ignore the man. He is a force of nature in wrestling at this point. So,
all right, well, in that case, let's start with Brock Lesnar. Why would you give it to Brock Lesnar?
There is no bigger draw in this industry. Everybody that's gone to see these big matches, they went there because Brock was at the top of the card.
They did make it a spectacle.
You can't deny that.
They made it a spectacle when he was on the show, and even everybody who scathes that he has a title and holds it hostage by not showing up most of the time, they still pay money to see him in the ring.
If Brock Lesnar's on the show, I'm watching. Guaranteed.
But that could also be said just as easily last year. So it's not like anything has changed. Granted,
doesn't have to.
He has had a lot of memorable matches over from the course of him winning the Universal title to when he dropped it and then again won it back. He has had whether people want to admit it or not, a lot of good matches.
His match with Daniel Bryan is...
Yeah.
It just barely didn't make our match of the year top 5.
That's
just
true.
Barely.
It was
very,
very
a
close.
fine match. I gave it 4 stars. Thoroughly entertained by it. So,
that,
that's why I would give it to Lesnar.
Okay.
Now, let's move on down the list.
Well,
of
his
Braun.
opponent, Daniel Bryan, who came back out of retirement.
Yes, let's do Bryan. We actually got to see him live, which was pretty cool. We got to see him and Kane, so Team Hell No.
That was
Team
cool.
up one last time, and that might be the last time we ever see that. So
That's true.
That was pretty cool.
For Daniel Bryan, though, for me, his comeback started at WrestleMania. Had a really good match with Shane and Owens and Zayn.
That was a good match. I don't care what anybody says.
It was. It was a really good match, actually.
I think the crowd was getting a little fickle by the 6th hour.
True. But after that, he had a couple of really forgettable matches with Big Cass. He did the Hell No thing. It didn't go very far. They really just needed an opponent for the Bludgeon Brothers at the time. And he's just kind of been treading water. He had his feud with The Miz then. Did not live up to what we wanted out of that feud. And it ended abruptly. More abruptly than we expected. So then he inexplicably turned heel. And we didn't expect it. And
I was skeptical, but I like it.
Yeah, I've come around pretty quickly. Putting the title on him, having him turn heel into this Kurt Cobain-looking anti-establishment, don't mess with the nature, don't drink bottled water. Yeah, it works. It's fun. I like it. And he's the champion. So, of course, he's on the list.
Yep.
He's the champ exiting 2018, so yeah, he's got to make it.
WWE champion and Lesnar's Universal champion. I know that might be confusing for some folks at home, but yes, there's 2 champions in the same company. Let's just move on from that. Okay.
The man he feuded with, The Miz.
Oh, I was going to go with Braun.
I know. We'll get to it.
I'm so excited.
We'll get to him. The Miz. Honestly, I would have a stronger case putting him on this list last year with what he did with the IC title.
He made the Intercontinental title matter. And wasn't he champion coming into the year?
He was the champ coming into the year.
It does count. And to me, that's one of the things that really puts him in contention. He made a title that was starting to become an afterthought, a major attraction again.
Exactly.
So, and the man who, the man who came to play.
He's
got
to be mentioned.
Miz Taraj. He's been the 3rd hour of SmackDown.
Exactly.
So you can't really ignore the Miz.
No.
He's had a phenomenal year with 2018. We'll have to see where 2019 goes for us. Now, moving on.
Go ahead.
Braun!
Okay, got it out.
Right. If we were doing this video until 3 minutes before the main event of SummerSlam, we would be talking about how he's the next Stone Cold. There's no one hotter. Oh my God, you could put him on Letterman. You could put him on anything. And he would make, or I guess Letterman's not even on anymore.
I wouldn't put him in there, I guess, yeah.
The good old days of TV.
Hell, he's even in movies now. He's in the new Will Ferrell, and that's going to be fun. I mean,
Braun was white hot, and
a lot of times.
I can't even describe how badly they've screwed it up.
They sucked the heat off of him by putting him in a stable.
Trying to put it on Roman Reigns, which never works.
There's that.
You can't just rub. The rub doesn't work like that.
Well, consider this. In 2018, Braun Strowman won the greatest Royal Rumble. 50 men.
Don't give the creative any ideas.
Oh, God. Braun Strowman won the 50-man Royal Rumble. They gave him a belt. Belt disappeared. Braun Strowman at WrestleMania won the Raw Tag Team Championships. The next night, had to relinquish. That's his only claim to gold on the year. He's had 2 heads-up matches with Brock Lesnar. Came close the first time, piddled the second one. He even had a triple threat against Brock Lesnar for the title. Lost that one too. Kane ate the pin, but every time they could have pulled the trigger on Braun.
That was a really good match, though.
It was. Every time they could have pulled the trigger, they did not. So all that white-hot heat, face, heel, didn't matter. It was all for naught. Because they never put a belt on him. Unfortunately, for me, that pushes him out.
I hate to agree with you, but like I said, if this was the first 6 months of the year,
Yeah.
I would have totally disagreed with you. But the last 6 months have just been, how many white hot guys are we going to have to see just languish because they don't know how to use them right? Now, moving on to the man who can burn it down, Seth. One of your favorites.
He is. He is one of the best workers on the roster, if not the best according to many. He has found a niche being Intercontinental Champion, being the workhorse, being Monday Night Rollins. Unfortunately,
the guy that when everything, all else fails, he can put the show on his shoulders.
And that's awesome to a point, because they don't have a belt on that shoulder, except for the IC belt.
I can relate, Seth.
Yeah. He doesn't have the belt. You can't be the top guy, not have a belt, not the top belt, but just have great matches. That's awesome that you can have great matches, but they're not... It's not that they don't trust him, because they've trusted him before, and it worked. He's not on top because there's another man by the name of Brock Lesnar they are still cashing in on. So, Seth Rollins is going to be there when they want to do it. Unfortunately, though, he's had a great year, but not the greatest year for me. It could have been a lot better.
Up on that. He also continued the work of The Miz of making the Intercontinental Championship
exactly.
Something.
Yes.
But, like you said, I just get the feeling that with everything that's been going on with injuries and illnesses on Raw, every time he's got a big program, something comes up.
Exactly.
And so, unfortunately, I'm kind of with you on that. You're just scratching at that Wrestler of the Year territory, but there's just a few folks that have had a bit better years, and one of them we're about to discuss, the phenomenal AJ Styles. What can be
What
said?
can you not say about AJ that hasn't already been said? He held the title
Pickle Weasel.
like 371 days. Yes, that's true. 371 days, I believe it was. Had the belt coming in. Lost it a little bit after Survivor Series, which over a calendar year. Every match he's had has made the other guy look that much better. Every match he's had on a big show. Great match, maybe match of the night, almost every time, right? He just turns in a top shelf performance with whatever he does. Even with an injury. He has done that for like the last 2-3 months, I believe. He's had a little bit of an injury. And he still turns in.
I wouldn't
match of the night all the time. Exactly. How would you? That's how good he is. And that's how good he was as champ. He's been the face of SmackDown Live. What can't you say about him?
Every match I've seen, he's been close to match of the night.
Exactly.
And, we've been talking about this, and, Tony, I'm going to be honest with you. For Wrestler of the Year, you've convinced me. I'm changing my mind. I was originally going to give it to Brock Lesnar, but for my pick for the KOE Nation Award Wrestler of the Year, I award it to the phenomenal AJ Styles. Congratulations, sir. You've had one hell of a year. I have enjoyed... I can't think of a match that you've had that I haven't enjoyed. No. Even the ones that the people on the internet say they didn't like.
Yep.
I actually secretly loved them too. Even the Nakamura ones that you both ended on a kick to the groin.
Yep.
I loved it. He was angry. He was steaming.
I didn't love the
loved it. I loved every bit of it.
But they were still great matches.
The Samoa Joe feud. Every bit of it.
Yep.
I get the feeling that the two of them might have
just maybe
way back in the day thought of a couple of things to do if they ever got to the big tent. But
there you go.
So now let me ask you, Tony. Do I even need to ask you, who do you award as Wrestler of the Year?
Come on, it's got to be AJ Styles, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for him in 2019. Granted, probably won't be as gold of a year, but
never
he's
know.
Still.
If he moves to Raw,
I know. I would love to see it. I would love
him and Seth.
I know. That's what I'm. Frothing at the mouth at the concept, but yes, we both. AJ Styles, congratulations on 2018 and your run in WWE up to this point. Phenomenal work.
So
moving along.
All that being said, moving along to the women's. The nominees are the man, Becky Lynch. The Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. The blissful Alexa Bliss. Gotta get that in. Get it in. Yeah, the goddess, Alexa Bliss. Charlotte Flair. Woo! Rowdy Ronda Rousey. And moonwalking from Money Mella, Carmella. So, let's move on down the line. Let's start with Mella.
Okay, Carmella, interestingly enough, she makes this list because she actually had a fairly successful run as champion. And honestly, that pains me to say because I've never been a huge fan of hers, but in the ring, she's still not there for me. But she does know how to work a match. That's my biggest point that I've had with Mella. Do not call her the best wrestler in the ring. I don't think that's rarely the case when you can call her the best wrestler in the ring. But she does a couple things that really set the pace. Great worker. Understand what I say when I say she is a great worker. She understands getting under someone's goat, and she's great at it. But since dropping the title, she's floundered. She's become a face. She's teamed with R-Truth. So really, that whole title reign didn't amount to much for her going forward. So for me, and of course, the start to the year at the Royal Rumble, you never stood a chance on this list for me because that was pathetic. And you know what? No. There's been about 20 different Battle Royals this year, and she has not been good in one of them. Tony, moment of silence for the Royal Rumble performance there. That was that bad. Yes, it was. Okay, so, moving along. She's out. So unfortunately, Mella, as money as you are, that performance at the Royal Rumble. Woo! Yikes! P.U. So, moving on up Charlotte Flair. Woo! Everything she touches is good. Oh, it's good. And she's finally a heel again, and it's better. It's good and it's better. Yeah. You're right. And unfortunately, her biggest title reign of the year was as a face on SmackDown, and it felt weird and awkward. So that really puts a big notch in it. I mean, everybody knows her pedigree. Everybody knows that she's capable of having amazing matches. Did you know that she's Ric Flair's daughter? I just found out yesterday. Wow. I know. It blew me away. So she's had a really fun, good year, but nothing... She didn't win any of those big matches against Becky. Even though she was champion, it didn't feel... She didn't beat Asuka. I know, but man, immediately after that, she got beat by Carmella. So all that heat that was going to her, out the window. On the subject, Asuka. Yep. We were, again, doing this review 3 minutes before your match against Charlotte at WrestleMania. We would be talking about how just strap a rocket to you and shoot you to the moon because that's how high you can go. And she had one of the best matches on the card. Us how to just destroy that. I mean, we were looking. I paid money to see Asuka in a intergender match. I'm not even going to mention the fucker. He's he who shall not be named. Yep. But the thing about Asuka is they messed that one up too. She won the main event of the Royal Rumble to start the year. She won her first title on the main roster on the last card of the year to finish the year. Yep, she does leave the year champion. I'll give her that. So really, even though they rubbed her out of her undefeated streak, she really had a pretty good year. I mean, it took the full year to get to it. But she is the champion. You gotta rate her higher than Mella, at least. Oh, way higher. So, do you put her higher than Charlotte? Yes. Okay. Now, this one's gonna be tough for you. The goddess, Alexa Bliss. You might be Alexa had... Oh, you can actually manage. Okay. If you can't manage, I'll finish. I'll be fine. Okay. Alexa unfortunately got bit by the injury bug, and that derailed any storyline that she had She had to miss Evolution. That really hurts her on this list. But even as a general manager of sorts,
she works.
In an authority role, she works. She just works with whatever she does. Her in-ring psychology is amazing. Her heel work is incredible. She's amazing on the mic. Her matches are good. Even matches with Nia Jax that weren't great were still good because of what she was able to do as a performer. It's just, having that injury, she had to drop the title to Ronda. That pulled a lot of steam off of her. I can't give it to her based on that.
Very true. And also kind of funny that Nia didn't make the list. I mean, it's just...
Nope.
It's odd, you know?
Nope.
You know, they all love working around her. I mean, with her.
With her, yeah.
So, so moving on to the top two, in my opinion.
I would agree the top two.
So, we got the man, Becky, versus Rowdy Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Who you got on this one? I'll
take Becky on here. She had such a phenomenal close to the year.
Mm-hmm.
There's not all that white hot heat that was on Braun Strowman. Becky vacuumed that up and sucked up somebody else's heat named Charlotte Flair along the way. There's not a better draw in the women's division on either roster. Honestly, she might be a bigger draw than Brock Lesnar. You could put her in the ring. You could put her in the ring right now with Paul Heyman.
If she was 3-0 in an MMA cage, yes.
You put Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar on one side and Becky on the other, and she could jaw with Paul Heyman back and forth like a tennis match.
That would be good television. Yes, you're right.
That's how good she has been. When they finally took the leash off and let her do her thing, step out of Charlotte's shadow, license to print money. Everything she does, whether it's a match, whether it's a tweet, whether it's a promo, she is nailing it out of the park every time. And even injured.
Her Twitter is pretty brutal.
It's just beautiful. And her dropping a bomb on Edge.
Yeah.
Don't hurt your head on the way out of my ring. Oh.
Like, ouch.
Wow.
Ouch. Just
they let her off the leash
like
and
Edge.
She became something more. Because she was on dire straits of becoming a good little worker. But they finally gave her the shot that she deserved, and it has paid off huge.
Yes. And you're right, so, is that who you're giving your Woman of the Year award to?
Well, sell me on Ronda.
It's pretty easy, and I can sum it up in just a few sentences. Maybe even one.
Okay.
In the history of all professional wrestling, there has never been a higher drawing, more successful, better worked, better wrestled debut of any wrestler, bar none in all history. And that is why the KOE Nation gives our KOE Nation Award of the Year to Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Hats off, Ronda. You have had the best debut year in the history of all wrestling that will probably ever occur.
Okay. That is more than fair. I can absolutely agree with all of that. I can't dispute any of it, and she has had a lot of really good matches, and she has gotten better every outing, every time, every show.
There's no one that's had that level of skill at a debut.
She shows up on Raw.
Yes, she does. Yeah.
One thing.
Got that above that other MMA fighter that's
There is one thing, though, that tilts it for me. When we were having that super fight, Becky versus Ronda, and that match was still on, and Becky went in the back and about broke Ronda's arm off in the dressing room in that segment, the crowd was ready to tear Ronda apart in favor of the new hero, Becky Lynch.
The man.
You stack them in the ring against each other at Mania, in the main event, Ronda's not going to know what to do when the shower of booze comes down on her, because not one person in that arena is going to want to see anything but a Becky Lynch win.
Granted, but if you put Ronda versus Becky in the main event of WrestleMania, not only is Ronda going to be showered, but Vince is going to have to deal with the shower of money that's just going to be falling all over him. He's just like, yes, money.
Poor Vince.
I know. My heart goes out.
But you could also put that.
How are you going to count it all?
You could take that match and you could put it as the Raw opener on a random week, and guess what? Same effect. Ronda's getting booed out of the building because Becky Lynch is that damn over. And that, my friends, is what tilts it in the man's favor. Becky Lynch, what a finish to the year you have had. You have become something that I never thought I would see again, because you are almost Stone Cold Steve Austin level white hot.
Hats off to all you ladies. We got a little disagreement. You're giving it to Becky.
Yep.
I'm giving it to Ronda. That's a pretty fair divide. So, moving on to the Tag Team of the Year.
Yep.
Our nominees are Usos, The Bar, The Shield. Here, I'll put a third one in there. There we go. And I don't care what you call it, the Zig World Order.
Ziggler McIntyre.
It's a new day. Yes, it is. And finally,
yeah, they don't really have
hammers it, and we face each other. I'm very angry.
Bludgeon Brothers.
Yes, the Bludgeon Brothers.
Easily Bludgeon Brothers. I'm sorry.
Injuries.
They really pushed you guys as monsters, and it was working. And then, yeah, injuries. And
as much as I love, and God, it pains me the fact that we can't even put the Revival on this list.
Yeah, no kidding.
That hurts.
Maybe next year. Maybe. Actually, to be honest, it was hard to come up with this list because that's how absent the creative team has been in planning out tag team storylines. This was actually a hard list to comprise. Because because the next one we want to talk about is the Zig World Order. That's not even a thing, but it is to us. Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre.
It's not a thing anymore.
No, it's not.
Anybody.
And that kind of runs them out of the building. But they had a hell of a run on Raw as tag champs, and they dominated people.
Yes, the Shield does technically get on the list, but to me, you can't give them Tag Team of the Year because they only came together one time.
They've been together for over a year. The whole goal was to get the Universal and the tag belts so they could have that photo moment of all three red titles together. It didn't happen because of injuries and illness, and it never got 2.0, and it just didn't happen. And man, that sucks, because that's another one that Seth Rollins is going to miss out on.
A gimmick that I still am somewhat puzzled by. It's a new day. Yes, it is.
You don't have to get it to enjoy it.
It's enjoyable. I don't entirely understand it. It's fun.
The thing about them, though, is they have been so consistent at delivering good matches and being a filler spot for their opponent that's kind of their niche for the year. Like, they had a title. Did you remember that? No, you didn't. That's the problem. And that's what takes them out of contention here.
They're usually more often than not the champion.
But they haven't really been title holders.
So, moving on up the line. So, I would put them in a solid 3.
I would agree. Solid 3.
So, moving on up, we have The Bar! They've had a really banner year. I mean, hard to deny that from them.
They were Raw Tag Team Champions. They are SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They're ending the year as champions. Actually, I'd have to go back and look, but they may have entered the year as the Raw Tag Champions.
I believe they did.
I think they did.
Yep.
So they've been wearing straps, whatever show they've been on.
More often than not this year.
Coming into the year and leaving the year.
So, yeah, they've had a banner year. They've had great matches with anybody they work with. Cesaro, I mean, you can't say enough good about him.
No.
Sheamus, despite his injuries, he's worked through them, and he's found a great way to work around them.
I'll tip my hat to that.
Yes. So, then moving on to the last team. Usos! One of my favorite tag teams. They're fun to watch no matter what team
when they ditched the face paint,
came into their own, started becoming heels.
They got to get cut off the leash a bit too, and that was the best decision they ever had.
hit a super kick every single.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, hey, somebody in the WWE has to hit a super kick every couple of minutes.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, they've been, unfortunately though, like falling into that New Day place. But they've felt more like champion even when not champion, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Because we both picked them to win the titles leaving the year at TLC, but it didn't happen, and I don't know if that's because they've been labeled that good little workhorse team, or because
I hope not, because there's nothing worse than being labeled the good little worker.
Yeah, I think that seals it for me.
Ouch.
I can't give it to them based on that
alone.
alone.
On 3, I think we're going to reveal our team of the year.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. The Bar! Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, who's had a better banner year? This might be one of the last years they are a team.
I think that's coming to an end in 2019.
Probably. So, The Bar.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, hats off to both of you.
Absolutely.
You've had a banner year. So, moving on to the Wrestle Shit of the Year. So,
this is important.
I will start it. I'm sorry. I mean, well, I'll let you explain what it is. And then
the Wrestle Shit of the Year. This is the award we will be giving to
bestowing
worst botch, match, event, storyline, what have you. If it was bad enough, it made this list. It's a short list because even though there has been a lot of bad, such as the Raw ratings as of late, this is a short list because these are so bad that they outweigh all the other bad by a lot. So,
I will start now. I'm sorry. As much as Mela is money, and you get another Mel. That's 2 Mela Moonwalks for one podcast. I mean, I'm pulling out all the stops for the KOE Nation Revolutionary Wrestling podcast audience.
Carmella's performance in the Royal Rumble was one of the worst things of the year, hands down.
And that was all the way at the beginning, and we still.
And it was, and we rated the Women's Royal Rumble pretty highly.
And it would have been rated higher if it wasn't for that.
It probably would have been.
That was bad.
Oh, man, next up, wow, the best in the world, Shane McMahon.
The person who needs to enter is
me. Obviously.
Now, I can't give that worst of the year because when he said that, I was crying, laughing. Man. I thought this was a joke. I couldn't believe what I was seeing was every promotion that had a promoter's son encapsulated in one event.
Yeah.
Like it was unto itself. It was that funny.
It was that. Oh man.
And Ziggler.
Oh, it was hilarious.
God, Dolph, you had to do the job there.
Boy, nobody's gotten that good little worker tag more than him.
Yeah, Dolph, you are there you go. There's your title. Good little worker belt. I mean, you've had that belt longer than Brock, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, God. And I'm so sorry, because he's such a good wrestler.
But he's not better than the best in the world.
Apparently he's not better than Shane. So, moving on down the line, Tony. Lita and Trish tag team match at Evolution.
So here's the thing.
That was bad.
When they first announced Evolution, they were giving us Lita versus maybe Asuka. They were going to give us Alexa versus Trish. Alexa got injured. They moved some things around, we thought, to accommodate that, and they made it a tag match. Lita and Trish versus Alicia Fox and Mickie James. We thought, okay, we wanted singles matches for these ladies. Turns out, I'm glad this was a tag match, because had this been 2 separate matches that involved them,
ouch.
Wow, that card would have been hurt, because the ring rust was hard, Mickie was off her game, and Alicia Fox, even though she's like a 20-year vet at this point, still can't not trip over her own feet. This match was so bad, it really drug down the rest of the event.
We gave it a half a star.
Yeah, and that was too much.
Which is weird because I gave the main event 4 stars.
Yeah.
So that was literally
the event
that was all over.
Thank goodness, because that was a bad start to a groundbreaking show, unfortunately. They really put a nasty stamp on
Unfortunately,
it.
I think that one they should have probably protected everyone a little better and made it a 6-women tag match.
They did the next night on Raw. That's how bad that match was.
So, moving on. We have a wonderful spot. I mean, Jinder showing supreme ring awareness, a real ring general, really figuring out a way not to destroy his own push in front of a crowd that would have naturally made him a heel.
If anybody wants to figure out why
Jinder versus Hardy at Grace Road.
If anybody wants to figure out why Jinder hasn't done much since his title reign, this was the nail in the coffin. Jeff Hardy does his little whisper in the wind flip off the top rope. Misses.
I'm way over here. Jinder's just way over here out of nowhere. Move goes off.
Yeah.
Nothing. He's nowhere to be found. Takes the bump anyways. He's feet away.
Jeff hits the mat. Jinder takes the earthquake effect, falls over. Guess what? That match sucked no matter what. This was a U.S. title match. Jinder basically took his last bit of push he had and flushed it down the drain. This was about as bad of a botch as you can get. Special note, though, from that specific event, Titus World Slide.
Titus World Slide!
We gotta mention it. So yeah, that card was
but
all
that was
over
funny.
the place.
Everybody enjoyed
that.
that.
Was hilarious. This was just sad.
Yes, so, and last but certainly least,
Ugh.
Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns, Hell in a Cell. Here, I'll let you take this for a moment.
Man, how do you take an event as bad as Hell in a Cell? Because it was bad. Like, basically every match on that card couldn't live up to what it was supposed to be. This was the only other Hell in a Cell match other than a weird Orton-Hardy match, which was weird. This was the main event. This was Braun Strowman's Money in the Bank cash-in match. A match with no rules. Two of the strongest guys on the roster. A clashing of titans, if you will. Lots on the line. Universal title on the line. Hell in a Cell.
On the line!
On the line! Well, and then the cell was red, and that was weird. Forgot about
Yeah, that was really hard to see through.
Yeah, that really started things off well.
Yeah,
So they kind of...
Editor's note, don't make
do
the
that.
cell red again. And then, I'll never forget when we were watching it, Rollins and Ziggler come out, and they're fighting on the side of the cell, and they do a bump off the side.
Yeah.
And Tony had a great comment. I'll never forget it. He said, they're like, boy, how is Braun and Roman going to recover from that?
Yeah, you had four guys not in the match doing most of the work. And that was the big spot of the match.
Technically, that was a match that Phil KOE should have captured the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Championship.
But could not.
Because Mick Foley's hand did technically touch 3 times.
Yeah, well, doesn't matter, because
So-
the match was a joke anyway. And guess what? A match with no rules ended in no contest, somehow, because Brock Lesnar interfered, and apparently that means we throw the match out. There were no redeeming qualities about this match. Even the stuff that the two guys did together were so below average, because they're capable of much, much more. They've gone one-on-one a lot of times, and it's been pretty good. That was not pretty good. That was terrible. And it ruined the event that was already
What
bad.
do you give your Wrestle Shit award to for 2018? The worst event
Man,
2018.
they are all so very, very worthy.
I know, they're all so bad.
But I gotta give it...
Who's the best at being the least?
I gotta give it to the match that took the Money in the Bank stipulation and crushed it and threw it to the side for no good reason whatsoever. The Braun Roman Hell in a Cell. What an absolute freaking waste of a main event, of a show, of a match, of a Hell in a Cell stipulation, and of the Money in the Bank itself. What a joke. Horrible all the way around.
You know, I was going to go with something else, but then I realized, boy, they really did a lot trying to polish that turd, didn't they?
Yep.
I mean, it was a turd, and they tried to put oregano, and they tried to put garnish, and they tried to do everything they could to convince you it wasn't a turd. But
after all that polishing,
it still smells like turd. So I'm gonna have to go with Braun versus Roman Hell in a Cell as the KOE Nation Wrestle Shit Award of the Year for
it's
being
deserved.
the shiniest, most well polished and garnished turd of the year.
It's deserved.
So, let's move on to something positive now.
Thank you.
The match of the year. We're going to start off, and we're not going by opinion. We're going by the way that we actually rank them, come back to it later, add it all up.
There's a lot of honorable mentions here, like the Fastlane 6-man match. Daniel Bryan, Brock Lesnar was outstanding. Samoa Joe and AJ at Super Showdown was outstanding.
Braun, Kane, Brock, that was amazing. I was amazing.
Actually, that made our list.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
It did.
Well,
I would also list both Becky and Charlotte's last woman standing match.
I gave it 4.
Yeah.
I was thoroughly
there were a lot of really good matches.
At the end of that match, I was like Russell Crowe from Gladiator. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Like, yeah, yes, I was entertained.
But yeah, everybody was.
So,
it was that good.
Starting off with our number 5, Buddy Murphy versus Mustafa Ali at Survivor Series. My God. That is what
That's
wrestling as a form of athletic competition is supposed to look like. God,
in a nutshell.
Yes. I remember when we saw them live in Omaha when they were doing a 205 Live Network exclusive.
And that was no disqualification match.
Burned the house down. And it was the best match of the night. And we had already seen 2 hours of SmackDown with the New Day and Kane and Daniel Bryan.
But that was with weapons. This was no weapons. This was to capture the vacant cruiserweight title, I believe. What a match.
Yes.
I'm sure we're a little biased because we saw it live and then got to see this, but it was that good. I am very comfortable with this being in our top 5.
Yep, that is what wrestling as an athletic competition is supposed to look like. So there you go.
Murphy's been a great champion for the cruiserweights,
That
and Ali is now on SmackDown. So they've both benefited from it.
Yep, so hats off to both of you gentlemen. We actually saw it live before it happened, so we're happy to see it happen.
Actually, number 4, match you mentioned.
Brock versus Kane versus Braun
At Royal Rumble.
Very, very entertained by that match. That was a car crash.
The build for that, I think, is what really made me enjoy it as much as I did. They finally, back in January, they remembered how to build a monster versus monster versus monster match. The build for it was so good, and then the match itself ended up being really damn good. And they ended up keeping Braun looking strong by Kane eating the pin. Everything was worked out exactly how it needed to. Everything was on point. The spots were good. It was a great triple threat match. I can't say anything good about other than, wow, Brock Lesnar had one of those matches that nobody wants to give him credit for. Braun came out looking strong as always, and Kane's a vet. What else do you want? It was a really great match.
So, our number 4 match of the year, Braun, Brock, Kane, Royal Rumble. Congrats, gentlemen. Moving on to number 3, a great match that was a real diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins versus The Miz at Backlash, the show opener.
Everything went downhill after this, and yeah, they stole
the show.
They stole the show. They stole the heat. They stole the momentum. They stole everybody's give a damn. Apparently, because the card went downhill quick after that. But wow, that was one of the best matches of the year, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I remember like that. I think that might have been part of the problem. Seth and Miz just sucked everything out of the audience.
And this is over, mind you, triple threat, including Finn Balor at WrestleMania, and this is also over adding Samoa Joe to the mix in a ladder match at Greatest Royal Rumble, I believe.
Yep.
This one-on-one match trumped both of those. That's how good these two were. Seth's amazing in the ring. We know that. And there's nobody better across the ring from you, keeping you safe, but also feeding off of what you do best than The Miz. This was a meeting of two chiseled warriors who are great at what they do, clashing just right. And they did it in an amazing fashion. And this was for the IC title that The Miz made amazing again, and Rollins carried to keeping it looking great.
And can I just say, does anybody take a DDT better than Seth Rollins?
There you go. Miz DDTing Rollins.
Now, so that is our match number 3 for the year. Gentlemen, hats off to you. That was one hell of an effort. Our number 2 match of the year. I'll let you take it.
This was a shocker at the time. Charlotte.
Woo!
Asuka, WrestleMania 34. That match was a barn burner in every sense of the word. These women came out to steal the show, and they almost basically did. The shock factor of Charlotte getting the win was one of the most shocking things of the night, of the year, honestly.
Yeah, nobody saw that coming.
No, nobody saw that coming. It was only overshadowed on the night because of the main event.
And Undertaker coming.
And everybody saw that coming but you. But, Asuka was on fire here. You just felt in your heart like, this is it. This is why they brought her up to the main roster. They gave her the Rumble win. They're giving her the title here. She's going to carry the women's division on SmackDown through the rest of the year. And then they had her tap out to the figure 4 or figure 8. We were dumbfounded.
Sheesh.
We were dumbfounded. It took.
Yeah, I was just
jaw drop. That's how we looked. But man, there were so many good spots in that match. It was one you could watch a bunch of times. That's why it's at number 2. It's still important looking at the women's revolution as a whole on the year, and that would be one of the best matches you could look at. And the women's side, altogether, hands down that match.
Yep.
I feel comfortable saying that.
Yep. And it's our number 2 match of the year overall.
There you go.
The number 1 match of the year, WWE Championship. Shinsuke Nakamura versus the phenomenal AJ Styles at Money in the Bank. 5-star match. If you're wanting to know how to execute main event style in the WWE, AJ Styles and Nakamura just gave you the playbook. Just do that, and they will love it.
Unfortunately, though, our number 1 pick isn't going to be as beloved as some other matches. But that match was amazing. It was the culmination of a feud. Both guys got to dump everything into it. This started at Mania. It ended here. Oh, wow, what a match. At the very end, Shinsuke doing this and AJ just doing the Indiana Jones right between the legs. Oh, everything about this match was good. It just kept hitting gears. And when you thought it was in its last gear, it went to another
one.
What
then
a match.
Hit the overdrive button.
I know it's a shocker that our pick for male superstar of the year had the number 1 match of the year.
Hard to believe.
I know, but
considering I don't think we found a single match that wasn't a club finish that was under 3 stars.
I know.
AJ.
Yeah, and that's a guy that has had to endure for 2 years now weird wonky finishes.
When we did go to Omaha, you did get to see the phenomenal AJ Styles live, which that might be checking something off of his wrestling bucket list.
A little bit.
Now, we did get to check off seeing Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker for the undisputed title at a house show in Lincoln, which, boy, we did not really appreciate that at the time.
Not enough, no.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, always appreciate those live appearances.
Absolutely.
You never know what you're going to see there. Heck, we saw the last time Jeff Hardy defended the United States title.
That's true.
So, yeah, we got to include that in our year.
Yeah.
So,
this has been a hell of a year overall.
It has.
There's been a lot of, I'll be honest, bad shows from the WWE this year. There's been a lot of bad matches, and even on Raw, things kind of spiraled a bit. But that doesn't mean things can't turn around in 2019, and I'm actually really, really looking forward to the Royal Rumble.
Yep, that's going to be a good one. And, yes, KOE Nation, we will see how 2019 rolls out.
I think we know how it ends for me.
For now, but another year is but a few days away, and Phil KOE will have another chance to capture the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Championship. So, all in all, Tony, what do you give this year?
I'll give it 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up? I'm going to have to agree. 2 thumbs up. Don't know if a star rating is really...
Nah, probably not on
no,
this one.
I look at that year, 3.5 stars. No, that's... so...
There's a lot of bad, like that Wrestle shit list. We could really draw down the star rating.
Yes.
Very
So,
quickly.
folks, thank you for joining us for our Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Year in Review. I am your King of Extreme, the powerful, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man too sweet to be sour. Your King of Extreme, Phil KOE. Signing off, handing it over to my indomitable broadcast partner, the two-time
champion, Tony G. Looking forward to Royal Rumble so we can start another year. Thanks for joining us in 2018, folks.
Catch you later, folks.